In the heart of a small town nestled between whispering woods, stood an old cinema, its marquee adorned with flickering bulbs that spelled out, the Starlight Theatre. Its weathered facade exuded an air of faded grandeur, a relic of a bygone era. Despite its decrepit appearance, the allure of its silver screen drew patrons seeking escape from the mundane. One dreary evening, as rain cascaded down in torrents, a handful of brave souls ventured into the theater's dimly lit lobby. The scent of buttered popcorn mingled with the musty aroma of aged upholstery, creating an atmosphere tinged with nostalgia and anticipation. Among the patrons was Sarah, a young woman with an affinity for the macabre. She had heard whispers of the theater's haunted past but dismissed them as mere superstition. As she settled into her seat, excitement coursed through her veins like an electric current. The lights dimmed, and the screen flickered to life, casting an ethereal glow across the faces of the audience. The film, a forgotten classic, unfolded with eerie elegance, drawing the viewers into its hypnotic embrace. But as the plot thickened and tension mounted, Sarah felt a chill creep up her spine. Shadows danced along the periphery of her vision, and whispers echoed through the darkness, though no lips moved. Unease gnawed at her as the line between real and reality blurred. Figures seemed to materialize in the aisles, their features obscured by the cloak of darkness. Sarah's heart raced as she glanced around, but the other patrons remained oblivious, transfixed by the unfolding drama. Suddenly, the screen went dark, plunging the theater into an abyssal silence. Panic rippled through the audience as they fumbled for their phones, desperate for a source of light. In the dim glow of her screen, Sarah saw them, shadowy figures lurking in the corners of the theater, their eyes gleaming with malevolent intent. She tried to scream, but her voice caught in her throat, suffocated by fear. As the darkness enveloped her, Sarah felt a cold hand close around her wrist, pulling her into the abyss. She struggled against the unseen force, but it was futile. The whispers grew louder, taunting her with promises of eternal torment. Just as all hope seemed lost, a flicker of light pierced the darkness. The theater erupted in chaos as the emergency lights bathed the room in an eerie glow. Sarah found herself alone, her pulse racing and her mind reeling. With trembling hands, she stumbled toward the exit, the echoes of her footsteps drowned out by the pounding of her heart. As she burst through the doors into the night, she vowed never to return to the haunted halls of the Starlight Theatre. But deep down, she knew that the shadows of the silver screen would haunt her dreams for years to come, a reminder of the thin veil that separates the real from the unreal, the living from the dead. In the heart of the bustling city, there stood a grand cinema known as the Majestic. Its towering facade boasted ornate architecture, a testament to a bygone era of opulence and glamour. Inside, rows of plush velvet seats awaited patrons seeking refuge from the chaos of the outside world. The tale begins on a stormy night, when torrents of rain lashed against the stained glass windows, casting fractured patterns of light and shadow across the lobby. Despite the inclement weather, a small group of cinephiles had gathered for a late-night screening of a classic horror film, drawn by the allure of nostalgia and the promise of spine-chilling thrills. Among the patrons was Alex, a film aficionado with a penchant for the macabre. As he settled into his seat, anticipation coursed through his veins like a potent elixir. Little did he know, however, that the true horrors were yet to unfold. As the film commenced and the auditorium plunged into darkness, Alex became ensnared in the eerie atmosphere, his senses heightened by the flickering light of the silver screen. Yet, amidst the screams and shadows, he couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Unbeknownst to him, deep within the bowels of the theater, the ancient projector whirred to life, its antiquated machinery groaning with each rotation. The projectionist, a reclusive figure shrouded in mystery, tended to his duties with an air of solemn reverence, his gnarled hands guiding the reels with practiced precision. But tonight, something was amiss. As the film reel spun, a sense of foreboding settled over the projectionist like a suffocating shroud. Strange whispers echoed through the empty corridors, and the temperature plummeted to bone-chilling lows. Desperate to unravel the mystery, Alex ventured backstage, his footsteps echoing in the cavernous silence. As he approached the projection booth, he was greeted by an otherworldly sight, a spectral figure, its form obscured by shadow, hovering over the ancient machinery. Paralyzed with fear, Alex watched in horror as the apparition manipulated the controls with unearthly dexterity, distorting the film into a nightmarish tableau of twisted imagery. Faces contorted into grotesque masks, and screams reverberated through the theater, melding with the howling winds outside. With trembling hands, Alex reached for the emergency shut-off switch, but before he could act, the spectral figure turned its gaze upon him, its eyes burning with a hunger that chilled him to the core. In that moment, Alex understood the true nature of the cinema's dark secret. The Majestic was not merely a theater, it was a portal to realms beyond mortal comprehension, where the boundaries between reality and nightmare blurred into oblivion. With a final, desperate act of defiance, Alex plunged the theater into darkness, severing the connection to the otherworldly forces that threatened to consume him. As the echoes of his actions faded into the night, he fled into the storm-ravaged streets, vowing never to return to the cursed halls of the Majestic. But deep down, he knew that the shadows of that fateful night would haunt him forevermore, a reminder of the thin veil that separates the living from the dead, the real from the unreal. In the heart of a sleepy town, nestled between the craggy hills and whispering pines, stood an old cinema known as the Eclipse. Its faded marquee bore witness to decades of cinematic marvels, but now it lay dormant, a relic of a forgotten era. Yet, within its crumbling walls, a sinister presence lurked, waiting to ensnare unsuspecting souls in its web of darkness. On a moonless night, a lone figure approached the dilapidated theater, drawn by whispers of its haunted past. Sarah, a thrill-seeker with a penchant for the macabre, brushed aside her apprehensions and stepped through the creaking doors, the musty scent of old film reels assaulting her senses. Inside, the air was thick with anticipation as Sarah ventured deeper into the labyrinthine corridors, the echo of her footsteps reverberating off the peeling wallpaper. The flickering glow of the projector beckoned her forth, casting eerie shadows that danced across the worn carpet. As she entered the main auditorium, Sarah's pulse quickened with excitement. The rows of tattered seats stood like silent sentinels, their faded upholstery bearing the scars of countless patrons who had come before. She settled into a threadbare seat near the back, her eyes fixed on the looming screen before her. The lights dimmed, and the film began to roll, a forgotten masterpiece of horror and suspense. Sarah's heart raced as she became enraptured by the unfolding tale, the images on the screen searing themselves into her mind like a brand. But as the plot thickened and tension mounted, a sense of unease washed over her like a cold wave. Strange whispers echoed through the darkness, their source unknown. Sarah glanced around, but the other patrons remained oblivious, their eyes fixed on the flickering screen. As the film reached its climax, the whispers grew louder, coalescing into a cacophony of disembodied voices that seemed to emanate from the very walls themselves. Sarah's breath caught in her throat as she realized she was not alone. Shadowy figures lurked in the aisles, their eyes gleaming with malice. With mounting dread, Sarah tried to flee, but the doors were sealed shut, trapping her within the confines of the theater. Panic surged through her veins as she realized the true horror of her predicament. The Eclipse was not merely haunted, it was a prison, a trap for unsuspecting souls doomed to wander its halls for eternity. As the echoes of her screams faded into the darkness, the theater fell silent once more, its secrets hidden from the world. And somewhere, in the depths of the night, the ghostly echoes of the silent screen whispered their chilling refrain, a warning to all who dared to tread where shadows dwell.